Women's wrestling figures has only one royal YouTube family.
Mountain Dew in my soul, respecting women is my goal. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. First time viewers about to scroll, but give me a minute to start the show. I promise to eventually begin.
So, I know recently I shared with y'all that I tore a muscle. Well, I'm here today to show you just how bad it is.
Wait a second, I thought you tore a muscle in your back?
Oh, hey there, Co-Mayor Alexa. But yo, have you seen the push that Cody Rhodes has got ever since his whole chest thing? I'm hoping to do the same for LumberJillville.
So let me get this straight, you tore a muscle in your back, but instead decided to put makeup on your chest because Cody Rhodes performed with a torn pec and got a major push.
Yep.
Okay, 2 things. 1, you're pathetic. 2, what were you even going to do for your video today?
Oh, well, I was actually going to go over my most wanted figures for 2023.
What does that have to do with any of this nonsense?
Well, nothing really. Unless I get tons of subscribers from this video, then it means everything.
Is that a Perry Saturn tattoo on your neck?
Yeah. Yep, it's Perry Saturn on my neck. I mean, it's the only tattoo I had. Welcome to LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. Now, before we get started, make sure to hit subscribe to become an official resident of LJV today and get a first look at all women's wrestling figures and videos like today, where I'm going to explain my most wanted women's wrestling figures of 2023. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Ultimate Edition figures I want to see this coming year: Charlotte from WrestleMania 34, and Becky Lynch from SummerSlam 2022. Now, before we talk about these two figures, I want to first and foremost say, recently Steve Ozer on a message board said that they were in works on a Sasha Banks Ultimate. This breaks my heart because one of my most wanted figures ever is an NXT TakeOver Brooklyn Sasha Banks Ultimate, and if I find out that's what they were working on, I'm gonna be crushed, but obviously it had to be scrapped. She recently signed with New Japan. But either way, the two figures I chose today, the first one, Charlotte from WrestleMania 34 in her majestic entrance. I mean, anyone that watches the channel knows this is the moment that got my daughter inspired. That got me inspired to start LumberJillville. So to have this figure in ultimate form, which I think is the only way to do this figure properly, would be simply amazing. Now, the other figure I chose was Becky Lynch from SummerSlam 2022. Now, I was at SummerSlam 2022, so there's going to be a lot of figures included in this list today from that night because it's a very special night for me. But this figure, in my opinion, the only way to do it justice with the entrance attire, that big fluffy entrance robe, cape, whatever you want to call it, jacket, I don't know. But the only way to do it justice is in ultimate form, and I think this would be an amazing Ultimate Edition figure. The women I want to see get first-time elites or updated elites are Bianca Belair with a brand new body sculpt, preferably from SummerSlam 2022, Alexa Bliss from WrestleMania 37 in that iconic ink look. We got Asuka, or Kana as you will, as we just saw at the Royal Rumble, Liv Morgan from SummerSlam 2022, Chelsea Green, preferably in her entrance attire with her hat and her puffy skirt, and then Xia Li. So Mattel needs to give Bianca Belair her own unique body sculpt. They need to update it. She's a huge star, a mega star. and she deserves her own sculpt, so I want to see her in the Elite line with a brand new body sculpt, and I'd love to see her in that SummerSlam attire, honestly. Alexa Bliss in that WrestleMania 37 appearance when she had the ink running down her face. I have the Funko Pop that depicts that moment, but I think that moment was so cool, so toyetic, and I think that would be an awesome Elite. Now, Asuka as Kana, this could arguably be included in the Ultimate Edition line, but here I have it in the Elite line because I think they can do a good job here. You know, they just want to be able to include the entrance robe. But this evil clown Asuka would be awesome in Elite form. Liv Morgan, SummerSlam 2022. We did get a leak out there that Liv Morgan is coming in, I think, Elite Series 103, I believe. So maybe she's in this attire, maybe it's too soon, we'll find out. Chelsea Green in Elite form. You know, I got the chance to meet Chelsea Green. Her figure is right behind me. You can't see it though. I got the chance to meet Chelsea Green and had her Chase figure signed. And she was a sweetheart. She was awesome. And I would love to see her in Elite form. And also, give her entrance hat and that puffy skirt that she wears to the ring. And that would be an amazing Elite. And then I also included Xia Li because she's just one of the most toyetic superstars on the roster. And her attire and her look is so intricate and so awesome. And I would love to see that executed in Elite form. I want to see a Ringside Collectibles exclusive Damage Control Elite 3-pack from their returns at SummerSlam 2022. So Ringside Collectibles has done an exclusive 3-pack before with the Undisputed Era, but now it's time for us women's wrestling figure fans to get our own Elite 3-pack. And I want to see Damage Control from their returns at SummerSlam 22. Once again, I was there, but this moment was so iconic, and it was, all honesty, probably the coolest wrestling moment I'll get to ever experience live. It was amazing. We got Bayley, we got Io Sky, and we got the love of my life, my wrestler crush, I guess, Dakota Kai. And Dakota and Bayley have very new looks, so it'd be good to get updated looks from them. But I want to see an Elite of all three of these women packaged together. I think that would be awesome. As far as the WWE Coliseum collection, which are two Ultimates paired together, what better pairing than the Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth from their LJN looks? So this Coliseum collection, I believe they've been Mattel Creation exclusives. They have two LJN-inspired looks that are released together, and some of them make sense, I guess, with like Jake the Snake and Rick Rude. But Hogan and Funk, I mean, whatever, I guess. But there's only one woman that was ever made in the LJN line, and that was the Honorable Miss Elizabeth. But what better two figures go together than Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth? And if they're worried about Miss Elizabeth not selling, well, she's being sold with the Macho Man, so I think a lot of people would buy those together. And in my opinion, this is just a no-brainer. I can't believe I haven't heard anyone else talk about how awesome this 2-pack would be in ultimate form as well. So yeah, I would love to see Miss Elizabeth and Macho together once again, released in the Coliseum 2-pack Ultimates. I want to see NXT get their own individual Elite Series, much like what's been done in the past. Now, it's been years since they've done that, but I'd like to see it make a return. And this time I want it to have 3 males and 3 females, much like how time is split pretty evenly between the two over on NXT. I want to see Cora Jade, Tiffany Stratton, and Roxanne Perez get Elites. And for the males, I want to see Grayson Waller, Braun Breaker, and Carmelo Hayes get Elites. Alright, so back in the day, they had NXT Basic Series and NXT Elite Series. And those were really cool. They had really unique, the Elites did at least, the X-style packaging. You know, that's where I've reviewed that Ember Moon Elite and also the Bayley Elite that was in the blue. And that was a cool series, so I want them to resurrect it. And this time, I want it to be split right down the middle because NXT is really good at not only giving the women time, but giving them the spotlight they deserve. And they have some amazing female talent down there, as well as male talent. So in this set, I have it split in 3 and 3. And I think the men, I mean, Braun Breaker, you got to see him in Elite form with that new NXT men's title. I think that'd be great. Grayson Waller, he's awesome. And Carmelo Hayes is on the rise. I mean, I think he'll be on the main roster very soon, in my opinion. And as far as the females go, I want to see Tiffany Stratton and her look that she had when she faced off Wendy Chu in that really fun match that they had together, where she had the braids. You know, it's in the picture that I have right here. You can see that look. That would be tremendous. I think she's a huge star. Speaking of huge stars, I think Roxanne Perez is the next big thing, and the look I want to see her in Elite form is that Pennywise type look that she had at Halloween Havoc this past year. And then Cora Jade. I mean, she's really been an excellent heel in NXT, and I'd like to see her in Elite form. So this is the series that I want to see released together. So let's resurrect that NXT Elite line, and these are who I want to see in it. Now, the women I want to see included in the Legends line, I want to see Jazz, Victoria, Ivory, and most importantly, I want to see Jacqueline Moore in Elite form. She deserves it. This past year, we saw the first women included in the WWE Legends Elite line. We saw Chyna, we saw Molly Holly, 2 versions, and we saw Stacy Keibler. And I want them to continue that trend and add some must-needed women in Elite form, like Ivory, Jazz, and her first ever figure, please. And also Victoria would be really cool. Now, the woman that I really want to see, it's one of my most wanted figures, is Jacqueline Moore, and this would be the perfect line to include her in. Now, I think she's extremely underrated, doesn't get talked about enough, but she could go, she could wrestle. Now, I know she was included in a lot of the Risque Attitude Era segments, but she was an awesome wrestler, awesome personality, and remember, she actually won the men's Cruiserweight title at one point, so I think Jacqueline Moore is awesome. I want to see all 4 of these women included in the future. Now, the women I think can be released in the basic line and have good basic figures are B-Fab and updated Dana Brooke, Zoe Stark, Thea Hale, Valentina Feroz, and Alba Fire. Alright, so this is another NXT heavy lineup here, but the reasoning is, this is a great way to introduce first in the line figures. They did this at one point in the basic line, you know, with Tegan Nox, Dakota Kai, Toni Storm, and those figures were pretty cool. Some better than others, but either way, it's a great way to introduce these women who wouldn't get elites, so to speak. I think that'd be really cool to have them released in basic form, and I think with their attires and everything, they can have pretty cool basics. So I have B-Fab first. Now, B-Fab, this is a biased pick because she did go to the same high school as me, fun fact. She did graduate years later, but I support her. I think she's awesome, and I'm so glad she's back with the company. Now, next we have Dana Brooke. Now, I could argue, and I know a lot of people would argue, that she deserves an elite. She's never had an elite, right? But more importantly, she hasn't had an updated figure in years, and she's been with the company all this time, so she is due for an updated figure. Whether it be in the elite line or the basic line, we need an updated Dana Brooke figure, please. Next up, we have Zoe Stark. She's awesome. That's her. She's awesome. Next up, we have Thea Hale. I think she's so fun. I love the energy she brings. I love when she wrestles, how entertaining she is, how she always is screaming, and she's great. And I cannot wait for her to finally have cards released by Panini or whoever, because she doesn't have any cards out there, and I do collect cards on the side. Speaking of card collecting, Valentina Feroz, I have tons of her cards. I'm starting to collect her. You know, a lot of people have one wrestler they collect. That's my wrestler I collect, and I have a lot of her cards, a lot of cool ones, a lot of rare ones. I'll definitely have to make a video at some point, but I would love to see her included in the basic line, because she's, once again, very fun to watch, a lot of energy, and she's one of my favorites, honestly. I think she's really underrated, and I can't wait to see how her future pans out, right? Next up, Alba Fire. I mean, she's long overdue for a figure, and I think she has pretty simple basic attire, so she could definitely be included in the basic line and have a good figure. For the Championship Showdown 2-packs, let's get some NXT Women's Tag Teams in there. Maybe then we'll get a chance to get the NXT Women's Tag Titles released. Let's see Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, and Yulisa Leon and Valentina Feroz. Alright, so once again, we have an NXT heavy lineup, but hear me out, I think this would be a great way to introduce the NXT Women's Tag Titles in figure form. And honestly, Katana and Kaden are long overdue for a figure. I've wanted their figures for a while, even last year. My most wanted figures for 2022, they were on that list, and they're once again on my list for 2023, and what better way to include them in a 2-pack? Now, I also have Valentina Feroz and Yulisa Leon because I think they're awesome. I think they're a good tag team, and I just think that'd be a cool way to get them together. So, yeah, that's who I want to see in the Championship Showdown 2-packs. As far as AEW Supremes go, I think Jade Cargill and her Jade from Mortal Kombat inspired attire, along with the TBS title, would make a fantastic Supreme figure. And also, Hikaru Shida and her very intricate entrance attire, along with her updated look, would also make an excellent Supreme. So now on to AEW. What AEW women's figures do I want to see? Well, first off, I just want to see AEW release some freaking figures. It's been 4 months. You know, I know they switched companies and all that, and they once again announced some lineups, but to me it means nothing unless the product actually comes out. Either way, the Supreme series is kind of the premium series, right? Designed for adult collectors. Now, for me, there's two easy choices. I want to see Jade Cargill in her Jade from Mortal Kombat inspired gear. I think that would be an excellent look. She could have a head with the mask, a head without the mask, and obviously include that TBS title. Maybe have the gear and soft goods. It would be really, really cool. So I would love that look. I would buy so many of those, y'all. And another look that I think would be cool is an updated Hikaru Shida. Now, obviously, she has a way different look than the previous figure that we got of hers. You know, it's changed quite a bit, but she has these intricate, extravagant entrance robes, and I think this would be a great opportunity for them to do her look justice and put her in the Supreme line with all the details that go with her look. Now, I want that AEW and Street Fighter mashup line to continue, and I want to see Penelope Ford as Cammy. Alright, so this is probably the biggest stretch as far as what I want to see for 2023, whether it'll actually happen or not. But I'll be honest, I am in love with this idea, and I want to see this happen so bad. I would be so happy, because I think this is awesome. So there's a GameStop exclusive Street Fighter AEW mashup series that's out in stores right now. You know, Kenny Omega as Akuma, and then we have Matt and Nick Jackson as Ken and Ryu, however you want to say it. But when I first saw that series, my first thought was, okay, what women would fit good as characters from Street Fighter? To me, that was a simple choice. I mean, Penelope Ford as Cammy, her attire is very similar, but I just think this would be an awesome figure. Like, this would be the most fun figure in my collection if this happens. I would absolutely go nuts over it, and I think this would be amazing. So, I hope this happens, but like I said, I know it's kind of a stretch. Now, the women I want to see released in the AEW Unrivaled or Unmatched lines are Mercedes Martinez, Jade Cargill in one of her infamous bodysuits, Athena, Kiera Hogan, and Julia Hart in her House of Black look. Alright, so Luke decided to join us here for this last little segment, so I'll let him hang out. Now, these are the women I want to see released in the AEW Unrivaled or Unmatched lines. First off, Mercedes Martinez is long overdue for a figure. She never got one with WWE, and right now, at the time of this recording, she's a Ring of Honor Women's Champion, and AEW has like a sponsorship deal with Ring of Honor, so I want to see Mercedes Martinez released. I think she's excellent, and she's long overdue for a figure. Next up, Jade Cargill in one of her iconic bodysuits, and this one in particular that I have in the image. I think this would just be an awesome figure. Athena, I would love to see Jazzware's take on Athena. I think the Mattel WWE ones leave a little bit to be desired, to be honest, so I'd like to see Jazzwares make an attempt. Next up, Kiera Hogan. She was on my list last year. Now, I'm a huge fan of hers. I know her TV time is not very prominent right now, but I wanted this figure last year, the year before that, and once again this year, because I was a big fan of hers in Impact years ago, and I would just love to see her in figure form. I think that'd be great. And next up is a weird one. So Julia Hart in her House of Black look. I just think it's toyetic. I think it's kind of cheesy, honestly, especially when she wears that hat. I'm not a huge fan of the gimmick whatsoever, but I think this in figure form would be actually really toyetic and will look really, really cool. And you know me, with my collection, I love to have unique women's wrestling figures, and this one would definitely fit the mold. Alright, so that's my list of all the women's wrestling figures I want to see released in 2023. I tried to make it a little more organized and more fun to watch, so let me know in the comments what you thought of today's video. It is a little different than what I usually do, but I had a lot of fun doing it. And also, more importantly, let me know in the comments what women's wrestling figures you want to see released in 2023. I would absolutely love to hear from y'all and hear what you want to see. So that being said, thank you so much for watching from me and Luke. I love y'all, and have a great night, y'all.